When I'm walking down the street.
I do want to say to Donnie and many of you in this room that over a very long career in this city, all of you have helped me and my colleagues tell the truth and to try to tell.
I may not look like you and you me, but
Take my hat off.
I'm South Carolina, so I just.
What does this event mean to you, Miss Peggy Moss?
Oh, my heart.
Happy 20th anniversary.
My heart is about loving up on my sisters. Do you know what it feels like to have your sisters in the room? Donnie.
And dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. I am beautiful, I am blessed, but not just what you see in the flesh. I'm free from people, free from myself. There's
The doctor lived next door to the janitor, to the reverend, and the lawyer. We were together. Now we get so high and mighty that you create stress for your society because you don't like poor black folks either. That's a health problem. Get yourself together so I can stop being taking care of geriatric people and get back to pediatrics. I thank you, Donnie, for all you've done. Let's keep doing it all the more.
letting His glory shine through. Dare to be you, dare to be me, dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. And I dare you, I dare you, I dare you to be you.
First name's Donnie, last name's Glover. In it, the winner for the long haul, baby. Top of the morning to you. We're gonna go straight to the get down. Good morning, Amber.
Good morning. How's it going?
Oh, Amber, I apologize for being late. I'm a whole 18 minutes late. That's what I get for trying to be a young boy, watching TV all night and getting up early in the morning. It just don't work.
I'm interested.
I don't know. I was watching your movie. How about that?
Okay, I'll take that.
You think-
I'll take that because I was up late watching the Chris Rock special. Even though it was live, I watched it late.
Tell me about it. How was it? People were talking smack about him. They said if they catch him in Baltimore, they're going to be mad at him. I saw a lot of negative comments.
Well, I don't think it was his best performance. He has, I still feel like he's one of the top 5. He's one of the GOATs. So, his best performance is pretty high up there. But there were a lot of funny moments, but there were a lot of moments that kind of fell flat. And the way he ended it seemed like it was kind of on an angry note as opposed to one of humor. But he had every right to be angry. Like, he's still dealing and healing from what happened and the backlash. And, that really affected everyone. So, of course, it had to have hit him the hardest. And it was interesting to see something that you're expecting to be a comedy in with that level of anger. But it was real. And it was what he was going through.
And that's all we can do is accept people for what they're going through. As you were talking, I was thinking about some other performers who have gone through trying times and how they had to still step up to the occasion. I heard some people, it was interesting when the Super Bowl went down, people had their sentiments about Rihanna. Most black women were like, leave her alone. She doesn't need to show any skin. Y'all just mad that she's rich. And then yet there were others that saying, well, hell, I paid $3,000 for a ticket. I want to see the best damn show ever. Which way do you go?
I felt like with Rihanna, at the end of the day, she was performing pregnant, and people assume a lot out of a celebrity, a lot out of a performer. But if you're pregnant, I can't really say what that personal journey is for you while you're trying to do, a halftime show. Because
maybe she should have just passed on it.
Maybe she could have sat down the whole time and, you know, just gave you a midnight cocktail hour performance. I don't know, but she gave it what she could give it. And I actually did think that it wasn't what we were expecting, but I don't know what she's going through. So
yeah,
if you're literally, I don't know how pregnant she was, but you're showing and you're literally going through something.
Pass the ball. You can't take people's money. That's like, you know where I live at. I live down here in Sandtown. I can tell you this. Them dope dealers, they can't take nobody's money and say, oh, I don't feel like delivering dope today, because there's repercussions and immediate repercussions. You took my damn money, you better give me my crap. Try that down here in Sandtown. This is going to be a problem.
Right.
But listen, congratulations to you. You are, now how do you say this? Cannes actress of the millennium. How's that go?
I always thought it was Cannes, but it's Cannes. It's
Cannes?
It is Cannes. I had a debate with my ex like 20 years ago, and he was like, "No, I've been to Cannes," and I was like, "Isn't it Cannes?" But yeah, it's the Cannes the Cannes Worldwide Film Festival, and what this is like the online festival where they enter monthly entries. So this particular win will get put into the huge pot where the people who actually go to the festival, like the physical in France, once a year festival, will all end up. Okay.
Well, congratulations nonetheless. And this is for your performance in which show?
So this is a movie, this is an independent film. It hasn't reached the rest of the world yet, but it's been in film festivals. It's called Rhapsody in Justice, and it's a political film about the temperature in the United States with Trump being president. So we actually shot the film over the course of 4 years because the director was kind of piecing it together. It was one of the only films that I'd done where I couldn't get the script. He's like, look, I'm not going to do it that way. I go by how I, feel in the moment. So we got piece by piece over the course of 4 years. And, when you do part of a project the previous year, you're really trying to remember what you did.
Man, I can't remember last night. You got to remember a script from a year ago.
Right.
Damn.
Right. I was like, who was I playing again? What was her motivation? And then another thing is within this film, because I was like, why did I win this? And when I thought about it, I was like, oh yeah, I played 3 different people.
Oh, wow.
And you forget over the course of 4 years all the stuff that you did, but I kind of played myself as one character. And then she was a very militant anchor host. So she was with the afro and, the dashiki and the interviewing the right-winged other correspondents or pundits that she had on her show. And then she played a Marilyn. Yeah. And then at one point I played a Marilyn Monroe character with a platinum blonde wig and all white. And everything I said was the opposite of woke and sure and confident and positive. And it was like, I don't know, sucker. What do you think we should do? So it was like, wow. So it was on some.
Wow. We just got wow. Okay. Amber, how does this feel? How does this new world feel? How does this transition from your last life and the life before that to this life in arts, fine arts? I mean, you've taken fine arts to another level now.
I just feel it's part of the journey. I'm not there yet, but I like to see parts of the road light up ahead of me. And I feel like this is one of those situations where parts of the road have lit up to let you know you're still on your path. and this is the path you're supposed to be going on. I did a film, if you recall, called Never Would Have Made It.
Yes.
Yeah.
You played Marvin Sapp's wife.
I played Marvin Sapp's wife. And after the film, we were on tour for a second to 3 different cities. And the first stop was Martha's Vineyard for their film festival. And at Martha's Vineyard, what we didn't know was that the Golden Globes were in the audience. The Golden Globe committee nominee members were in the audience. I mean, nominating members. And we got a call later from our producers telling us, hey, the Golden Globes wants to have a nomination consideration Zoom meeting with you. And we did the Zoom call, and it was me, it was myself, and 2 other characters in the film, the ones who played older Marvin and younger Marvin. And just to be sitting on a Zoom call with the Golden Globe committee was an honor in itself. It was probably 60 of them. And you know how you're on Zoom and you just keep swiping to see how many people are there because it only shows you but so many people at a time on one screen.
Wow. So you had like 6 screens, 7 screens, 20.
Right. I'm like, oh wow, this is all of them. This seems like everyone. And also, producers from the film and directors, so on and so forth.
It's the first thing that comes to your mind is like, damn, how can I do this myself? How can I get 70, 80 people on the line?
I was honestly in the mindset of, I can't believe I'm on with the Golden Globes, that they're actually considering us for Best Actor.
It's a pinch me moment.
It was a pinch me moment. And we did not get the nomination, but the consideration in itself was such a huge deal because I had never come close to anything like that. And when I got the Cannes win, it kind of felt like, was it retribution?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Indication.
Yeah. It's just kind of like.
I didn't get that one, but I got this one. This is meant to be. Right.
It's meant to be, but the signs are now like there was a sign before. Now this is happening. And, okay, I think right. People acknowledge that I know what I'm doing. So I'm on my way. And it just helps to just be like, no, don't stop. Keep going. You wouldn't have gotten this far and you wouldn't have gotten these accolades and so on and so forth if you weren't doing what you were supposed to be doing the best to your ability.
You felt like God was talking to you yourself.
Yeah. The Cannes doesn't happen every day. Golden Globes don't happen every day.
And you feel the Spirit was saying, keep going and do not quit.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to ask you the question. You know what I'm going to ask you. I'm now that little girl that you met that made me a granddaddy to this other little girl. I'm going to ask you what advice you have for little girls out there. I've been asking you this question for 25 minutes. Okay, for a few years I've been asking you.
Right. I feel like I wonder what I said last time, but we'll see if it lines up.
Okay.
I feel like it's the same thing that I would say to anyone. Don't stop. Keep going. Believe in yourself and don't let anyone discourage you from what your path is. And as simple as that, just keep going.
What about the dream? Amber, did you settle at any point? Is this now should you have been thinking this 10 years ago?
I don't think I ever. I think when I was 23, I worked a job for 2 years while I was simultaneously going after the dream. So I can't say that I settled. The job I was working was a W Hotels, and it was from midnight to 7 a.m. And when I got off work, You
was tired.
I was tired, but I was taking an art class, And then when I finished the art, it was at the school in New York called Catherine Goods. I already had a degree, but I didn't know about Illustrator and Photoshop and Quark and those kind of things. So I took a class because I was going to start auditions at 10, but I got off at 7. So I'm like, what am I going to do in the meantime? I'll take a class. So I took this class, and after the class, I went to auditions from about 10 to 5. They varied. Sometimes you'd get them later or earlier. And then at the time, I was living upstate on a best friend's couch, which was in Spring Valley, New York, an hour and a half north. So I would, around 5 or 6 o'clock, take the bus up there so I could sleep for 3-4 hours and then work the midnight job. And sometimes I would drive.
Damn, man. But how long you had to do that?
2 years. I did that for 2 years. Yeah.
Talk about sacrifice. People see you, they like, oh, she a pretty girl. She wanted, okay, she didn't have to go through no struggle.
So I did that for about 2 years until like not getting sleep for that long started to really affect me. I definitely do not recommend it because 3-4 hours a night after a while, even if you're 23, really starts to mess with your nervous system, your everything, your sleep pattern, all of it. But I started to refine, and I never got off the path. It was just like I made the path less complicated, or I went down different roads that were still within. Like I stayed in the arts. So I have, because of the children's book and the modeling and it all kind of like moved into the acting and then the art exhibits and all of that. It was still me trying to figure out the arts, and with the acting, it kind of encompasses the singing and the performing and a lot of different things. So here's where I am now.
How long did you know you were going to New York? So you this is like a childhood dream I'm kind of starting to figure out.
Well, no, when I was in high school, my mom went to Howard. So in my mind, go to Howard. I went to DC. While I was studying there, I think it was either my freshman or my sophomore year, I started getting into the fashion shows. It was funny, in Baltimore, no one would let me in the fashion shows.
Travis Winkie let you in the fashion show.
My high school was like, we don't think you have it. When I got to college, not only did they let me in the fashion shows, but I won some contest that had me modeling in New York.
Hold up. Baltimore hated on you?
I tried out and they were like, nope. And it was just, the cool girls. And they were like, yeah, we don't think you're it. And the very next year, I was in college when it.
Wow. And I never would have believed you would say something like that.
Yeah,
wow.
It's funny. I haven't thought about that in a long time, but I was like, dag, I guess I just don't have it. And then the next year I'm like getting paid to model.
Yeah, and Amber, that's a how you like me now moment. and it's also a test maybe from the universe, like how bad do you really want it? And now, I mean, in retro, you got to write about that. I think it's time for a new book, Amber.
You know what's interesting about that? Most of I heard, it was Jonathan Majors. It was an interview with Jonathan Majors where he was talking about someone called him in the theater, so excited. And he was like, what's going on? What's going on? He's like, they were like, while we were waiting for your movie to start, we saw 3 or 4 advertisements of more movies that you have that are coming out. So like, if you go see Creed, I think more Jonathan Major movie trailers are in the Creed preview for, trailer previews.
Don't laugh at me. I didn't watch the first one, but I as the third one came up this weekend, I was like, wow, there are 3 of them and everybody's talking about 3. And for me, I got to go and watch 1. I started watching it. So the point is keep going no matter what.
Well, the point is, I thought going back to art, well, definitely that's the point too. But I thought back to that, and I remember like at the height of my modeling career, when I would do an ad, right? Let's say I had a cocoa butter ad or a hair box ad or a Jeep ad. I would open, or I was doing Newport cigarettes ads even. I'll open
Wow.
either Essence magazine or Ebony magazine, Jet magazine, all black. And I would find my ad in all of them. Like if they ran it in one, they would run it in all of them. But I remember there was one year I opened Essence magazine and I had 4 ads. I had one for Jeep Liberty, I had one for Newport, I had one for cocoa butter, and I had one for Soft and Beautiful hair care because I had their relax. I was the girl on the box, right? And someone called me like, this has never happened before. Like no one's ever had this many ads in a magazine. And when I think about Jonathan Majors having that many ads for movies that he has coming out, right? The equivalent is the trailers for the work that he had done. I was like, that's what this transition is going to look like because I've done it before. And the person who sent me the Jonathan Majors didn't know about the modeling, but they still were pouring into me like, this is going to be you. And I'm like, I'll accept it. I own it. I receive it, but there's work to do. And I'm just here for it, trying to figure it out, trying to do the best I can and just moving forward.
I'm proud of you, Amber. Congratulations as always. You don't stop. You are tenacious. They don't know. I'm up there worrying about you in New York. I better worry about New York. That's Baltimore up there. She don't need no. She all right.
I'll figure it out.
So before we wind this down, what's next?
What is next? Okay. So right now on Amazon, I have a film called Aurora. Aurora is a love story, and it's a destination love story. So it's about this couple that's getting married in Puerto Rico. We shot it in Puerto Rico during the pandemic, and I play the sister to the groom who is not too sure about him getting married, which is a fun side to be on, like the antagonist,
Are you skeptical?
I'm skeptical. So it's on Amazon, pay demand. What do they call it? Pay on demand.
Okay, on demand.
Right on demand. Yeah, on Amazon Prime. And then I have another episode of Ghost coming out this spring. And where I play Cheryl Baldwin, the mom of Paige Heard. And wow, I'm sorry, someone's at my door. 1 second.
So folks, thank you for tuning in this morning. Got a bit of a late start, but we have nonetheless caught up with Cannes. It's not cons, it's Cannes. Cannes Film Festival.
All right, that was my super
honoree. So give me that money. Okay. You were telling us about with Aurora, no, Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon Prime, pay to order Aurora. And then I was telling you about Ghost. So
oh yeah.
Yeah.
So how does it go with Ghost? Do they film every week, every 2 weeks, every month?
So no, Ghost is like once a year. Yeah. Yeah.
They shoot straight on through like 13 episodes.
Yep. They go through, I think it's about 10 episodes. And so now they're in season 4? That's a good question.
Okay. And
yeah.
So have you met 50?
I have met 50. I shot with 50 my very first episode on Power before I even did Ghost.
Was he kind?
He was 50. He's such an interesting person. He's like colorful.
He's a Cancer. Don't talk about these cancers. Now you usually be laughing at them cancers.
Listen, my mom is a Cancer, so
was he a typical Cancer?
I don't think there's anything typical about 50.
Ooh.
He's a colorful person. And he's definitely one of the most free spirit people because he kind of just does what he feels, you know? We had this scene. We were doing a bank. No, it wasn't a bank robbery. It was a jewelry heist scene. So I was one of the shoppers who didn't know what was coming, just shopping for jewelry at a jewelry store. And, you know, they come in with the masks, the face masks on that have like.
Oh, he did it. Oh, you really didn't know?
No, I had no idea what was happening. And
Oh,
like,
wow.
right, they come in like 4 dudes deep with the skeleton face masks.
Skeletor, like the town.
Exactly. Like the town. And they got guns out and bust in the door. But see, it's a jewelry store. You have to be buzzed in. So the guy who was working behind the counter was in on it because you don't
wow. Wow.
right? So you don't see 4 dudes with skeletons and open the door unless
you wanted to whip his ass in live person, didn't you?
Right.
Are you what kind of stupid are you? Did you see the stick up coming?
Right. So you let them in, you're in on it. You're about to get some of this money. That was the plan. But to make it,
you mean the real? Wow.
Yeah. So, you know.
Wow. That was creative. That was brilliant.
It was really good writing. So
that was brilliant.
Right. So the guy who's in on it doesn't bank on 50 being a loose cannon. And the idea was, okay, make it look real. I'm going to drag you from behind the counter while I'm, you know, making sure the rest of the patrons in here are on the floor. And then I'm breaking all the glass and all of my goons are behind me breaking the glass and throwing the jewelry in our duffel bags. I'm going to drag you, the manager, from one side of the room to another on the floor. And every time we would say cut, I would look at this dude on the floor like, are you okay, buddy? Are you all right? And he's like, yeah, I'm good. I was like, okay, because it looks like 50's doing it for real. Are you okay? He's like, nah, but you know how you all men are. I'm a man, I'm all right. But I don't know if he was.
You up there whipping my ass, we will have a problem. Hey, 50, you hit me again, I'm gonna bang you in your mouth. I don't care who you are. That's like me trying to play Jamaican Sci-Fi with them boys down in Georgia.
Yep.
Yeah, we won't be having none of that.
It gave me hazing vibes for real. I was like, you look hurt for real. No.
Ain't no faking that. Whipping my ass.
Yeah, you look a little. No, I'm a man. I'm all right.
Looking a little crispy. No, we done seen trauma in Baltimore. That's traumatic. Hey, you are traumatizing me.
Right. But you know, who am I to step in between 2 men who said they all right? So, but it was a good scene, and
that remind me of, what was it? Jamie Foxx and LL Cool J. Didn't that end up in a fight?
Yeah, they got real with it though. They both got pissed. Yeah.
Jamie tried LL. You shouldn't have tried him.
Right. It was like, first of all,
muscles coming out of his neck.
Yeah, that's not even equal, Jamie. What are we doing?
Yeah, you walked into it.
Yeah, it's egos though. Your ego is always bigger than you are. So.
Ooh.
But Jamie remains one of the most talented people that walks the face of the earth. And
I had a problem with Jamie Foxx. I had a problem with Kevin Hart and Kevin Garnett. They were down here in Maryland pushing gambling.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like every commercial I'm looking up and seeing Kevin Hart on this big bed where he looked like a little person on a trampoline. And they keep talking about sports gambling. And all I can think about is the $15 billion that have come through the Maryland State Lottery, yet we got classrooms in Baltimore City in 2023 without heat and without air. And I want them to go sit down.
Right.
That's my personal.
Well, I'm pretty sure they got a check.
I'm glad they got a check. But like, how much money do you need? Don't they got money already?
Right.
That's right. I'm standing with the members of the Maryland General Assembly on that. Okay, so what's next? What we got to do now?
I had one more thing though. I forgot to mention. So what was next? So I said Aurora. We're talking about Ghost. And so lastly, for now, there's a Netflix special coming up this spring as well. It's going to be called Survival of the Thickest. And it's leading with the comedian who also had some Netflix specials named Michelle Buteau. I don't know if you've heard of her. She's light skinned, she's got big curly hair, and it's basically about her life and her friends. So I play the girlfriend to one of her best friends. And that will be coming out 10 episodes. I did the last 2 episodes, and that'll be coming out this spring.
Wow.
Yeah, so I get to do some comedy finally.
You got jokes, Amber?
Well, I'm kind of like the straight man in this, but to be funny, to be the straight man in comedy, the delivery has to be there. So
they say timing is everything.
Yeah, the timing is everything. So if you got the chops, but it was good.
Who was your favorite comedian?
Dave.
All day long. How could he not be?
100%.
What is it about him that just captures you? Is it his storytelling?
Yeah, he's definitely a good storyteller. He's so intelligent that he's just such an interesting person. His perspective on life, the way he forms the world in his mind and then spits it out to us is unique. But you can't do any of that without being really intelligent. You know what I mean? He's a really smart guy, and he has a perspective, I think, that's different than most people.
I mean, the fact that he lives out there in Ohio in the cornfields.
Yeah, that definitely.
And I've been hearing people moving to some strange places in middle America. My homeboy, my college roommate from Morehouse, tells me that people are moving to Idaho.
Yeah, well, if you like alienation, go right ahead. It's interesting how we as Black folks usually just want to be around more of us. So we gravitate to cities that are popular, but the rest of the world isn't like this. You know what I mean? You got your Baltimore, your Memphis, your DC, your Atlanta, Detroit, but most of the world, most of the United States doesn't look like us. We're only 12%. So
we are a bad 12%. They say we only 12%. We are a powerful 12%. How about that, Amber?
We are a very powerful 12%.
That's why half of the prisoners are Black.
That's why we can't wrap it around our heads that we're 12%. It doesn't
add up.
Right, because our impact is
Imagine the Latinos, the pastors, they're at 18%.
Are they?
That's what I read this weekend, little essay in them that surpassed us.
You know why? Because they're coming from 50 billion countries.
No, that's true. And they willing to live 20 deep. We ain't willing to live 20 deep, Amber.
We're not willing to do what they do.
I don't care how crowded that sofa got in your early days of acting. You wasn't sharing that house with 35 people. I go to Park Heights in Cold Springs. The Latino family is every bit of 72 deep in one house.
Yeah. And they definitely have a lot of the jobs that,
that we
America
used
don't want.
to work.
Right. We used to do, and now we're like, we shall overcome at some point. Come on.
Amber, you went all the way to New York. That's why I've always admired you. You were willing to put in the work, to go the distance, to go where you had to go to accomplish it. But Amber, they cannot pay people to work these days. People want to sit home. They say, I ain't going to work. I'm going to get a check.
Yeah, well, if people have the luxury of figuring it out without money, then more power to them. But a lot of people, that philosophy is only going to last for so long because you got to go get the bag.
Got to get the bag.
You got to get the bag to secure the deal. You could be home with mom if you want. You got a good setup and mom isn't tripping. Like, that's okay, baby. You just stay right here with me. Like.
That don't sound like your mom. Your mom was like my mom. My mom was a cancer too. And my mother said at 18, she's like, look here, partner. I mean, and she's been gone 38 years. So let me just paraphrase it. Look here, partner. All that G.I. Joes, Tonka trucks, now all that's over. You 18. At 18, you are leaving. Don't bring no kids in here in the meantime and own your own house. And that was Lily Glover's marching orders 30-something years ago.
Well,
at 18, you leaving. She made that very clear.
Yeah, she set you up in the right path.
Yeah.
That's a mother's job, to raise you and get you out the door, to get you ready to be a person who could stand on their own 2 feet. Otherwise, she's not doing her job. If she got to take care of you forever, if she did something wrong, and I can imagine how hard it is, but at the same time, that's the goal, that's the job.
17, I was out that door. I was on the plane to Atlanta. Morehouse, here I come.
Yeah, 17, I was at Howard. I had my 18th birthday party at Howard. And it was amazing because maybe a few days before, we were all like hanging out in the courtyard of the boys' dorm. So we found out like, oh, that's where the boys' dorm is. So at our girls' dorm, which was Wheatley Hall, about 30 of us, because I think when you're freshman year, everybody's your friend, right? We went everywhere
to
together.
be there.
Right, 30 of us. We went everywhere together. So someone was like, this is where we're going. So we're hanging out and the guys are downstairs, the freshman guys, they're downstairs. We're all talking. And I'll never forget, there was this one guy. He was tall, he was good looking, but he was kind of shy and quiet, right? So I'm looking at him, he's looking at me, ain't nobody saying nothing. And I sneezed at one point, and here he come with a tissue. And I was just like, thank you. And that was the extent of our 17-year-old conversation. Maybe he was 18 at the time, but 17 and 18. So 2 days later, it's my birthday. I'm in the dorm. Someone gets one of those cards, those big cards that if you put on the floor, it comes up to your knee. And everybody in the dorm signs it. And my best friends, and keep in mind, I've been there for a week and a half. My best friends in the dorm went and took that card to the boys' dorm.
Oh, wow.
And when I read the card in big letters, there was one signature from Tissue Man. And I was like, oh my God, Tissue Man signed my card. Because I knew exactly who that was. I was like, that was the one who wouldn't talk, but he gave me the tissue. So yeah, HU, 17 years old.
Wow, I remember my first week in Atlanta. It was hot. That's what I remember. It was hot.
Ooh,
I was like, who set me up for this? It is so hot. It's not Baltimore hot. It's to change your clothes 3 times in a day. It's just hot.
Yeah. Yeah, global
Spelman was
warming.
hot too. I love Spelman.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, come on. Well, that was why I went to. Oh, okay, almost. Okay, that was a part of the deal. That was a package deal.
We're gonna take a trip across the street. Yeah. It's one thing about Howard, and I'm sure you feel the same, but when I look back, it was the best 4 years compounded in one.
It helped save my life, Amber.
Yeah.
Getting out of Baltimore, young black man at 18.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's my recommendation for anybody with a son or a grandson. Get them out of Baltimore.
I think that works for a female.
Girls too.
Yeah. I mean, just so you could see what's out there, because Baltimore is such a small town and it's a small mentality, and whatever you're trying to do, it's limited just from that perspective. But if you leave, you start to see things in a grander perspective that you just wouldn't be able to do if you stayed home. And my parents, not only were they like, you got to be out of here by a certain time, you have to go to school, when you get out of high school. They were like, we don't want you to be in Maryland. If you leave the city, if you leave,
you got put out of the state. Damn, I thought
the whole state. They were like, if you leave the state, we'll pay for it.
Wow. So they understand exactly what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, they were like, we'll help you if you leave the state. If you stay in state, it's up to you to figure it out. And that was like my green light to be like.
But Amber, do you realize parents didn't do that always, especially for the baby girl? I've heard of parents who would send their sons to school in another state, but would keep their daughters at home. The sex, I mean, because you're girls, daddy's like, oh, hell no, my daughter ain't going over there.
Right. Well, I think with both my parents, the last thing they were worried about was me not being okay.
Wow, they worried about New York City, not you.
Well, I mean, it was DC, so it was 45 minutes away. But my dad, I was like, Dad, how come when I get to a place, when I leave, you never call and be like, hey, did you get there okay? I was like, I feel like most parents do that. Mom does that. You never do that. He's like, yeah, I have 4 kids. You're the one I worry about the least. I know you'll be all right. If anything, I expect you to call me, talk about what happened to the other guy. But I don't.
Wow.
He's like, I worry about you. I was like, wow, okay. But also I'm the oldest. And I think that there's a lot of responsibility that's put on the oldest. Even inadvertently, it's just by default, like somebody needs to help. And you seem like you get it. So there was a lot of that too. But I think I had a lot of, I had responsibility early that they were like, she got it. She all right. But I think also, when you move out of town and you were a kid, you don't come back as a kid.
No, you don't.
You come back independent. You come back.
The first time you had to fix food for yourself, or that when there was no food and you had to go to the store and get it, and your decision whether to buy beer or food, you grown.
Right.
That's it in a nutshell. What you gonna do? Eat or get drunk?
Right. I never drank, but mine was like, all right, I don't have any money. What am I gonna buy? What kind of food am I gonna get? The ramen noodles and eat
noodles and tuna fish, damn it.
Right. Right.
Well, down in Atlanta, I would use my best friend's food card.
You had to hook
I
up.
lived off campus, but that meant 2-mile walk to get some Frosted Flakes.
Yeah, people don't realize the struggle is real at college.
My daddy told me everybody's poor, everybody's broke in college. Would you agree with that?
I would say 90%.
Damn right, because somebody got money. I would hang with the fat boys. Fat boys always got some Twinkies, cupcakes, and ho-hos.
Listen, the jocks always had food because they were on a full ride and they had full benefits.
I never thought about that. Robert, well, see that I wasn't all that. I told you, I was thinking about pledging Omega Sci-Fi. Then I saw them big He-Man. Man, dude, you hit me. It's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, I remember taking a business law class because before my freshman year, my major was political science before I got a full scholarship for fine art, because I walked out of that class like, wait, this can't be life. I can't imagine doing this. So I went into the dean and told them I wanted to do art and walked out of there with a scholarship when I showed them my portfolio. But before then, I was in this business law class, and this kid who was always sitting next to me, like we had assigned seats. Every day he would come in looking broke down and tore up. And I'm like, oh my God, what happened to you today? Because he was pledging Mega Sci-Fi.
Oh.
And every night they would like do different things. If it wasn't physical, it was mental.
Yeah, the mental was the part that got me the most. Push something down the street with your nose.
What? Oh, see, they told him, come through the door. they asked him in the middle of the night for things that didn't go together. So he would have to run around and get them. Like, I want a pack of Skittles. I want some fried chicken, things that you can't buy at the same place. And he came back with all their stuff and the door was locked. And he's like, hey, I'm here. Open the door. And they're like, come through the door. And he's like, no, it's locked. They're like, figure it out. So he's standing there like, oh God. So finally he takes his wallet, he takes his ID out, his license, and slides it under the door. And they open the door. But it was like these mind games with the task and the running around. And I was just like, woo, you're better than me. I definitely got discouraged. And I wasn't even trying to be a Q, but it didn't sound good to me.
I was impressed by the Qs because I saw that was the first fraternity I saw at Coppin State. No, actually at Mondawmin. I was at Mondawmin, a teenager, and they came through, and I was like, wow, that's nice. Organized, brothers, army, like. But then I found out some of the, behind the scenes. All I knew is if you put your hands on me, sooner or later, I'm going to put my hands on you. I'm going to bust your head. Don't be putting your hands on me. I'll put my hands on you.
Yeah.
Ain't that typical Baltimore?
Yeah, pretty much. But I feel like anybody who's ever joined a fraternity or sorority after they get past that hazing stage, love it, are committed to it for life.
The dudes I saw pledging, they couldn't get girlfriends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, my brother pledged, and everyone around us, like HBCU communities.
And then it cost money.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to have the uniform and the lineup for that clean line. But yeah, I guess it just depends on what school you went to and what the experience was like. But it's definitely some horror stories with some of these fraternities.
I still admire them. I just never understood in all of this blackness, I never understood the concept of Greek. Why would I want to be Greek? I would want to be African, Egyptian.
Yeah.
But that's the part that just, I never liked it, and I still don't like it because I ain't Greek.
Right. But yeah, they could have put a different spin on it.
So what award would you like to win next, Amber?
Listen, I got 4 plants up in here, okay? One is Oscar, one is Emmy, one is Golden Globe, one is SAG, and the one in the back is the EGOT.
I got you. So the first thing I heard you say is visualize it. Write it down.
Right.
Buy a plant and name the plant the name of what you want to win.
Right. I think it works better with a pet, but I'm allergic to those, so I did the best I could. Because
so I can rename my German Shepherd Porsche.
There you go.
Pharaoh, your name is Porsche.
Pharaoh's right there.
Yeah, his name is now Porsche.
Right, because now you got to call his name every day.
Oh, that's how you do it. Okay.
That you call.
I'm gonna go get a plant. I want to confuse my dog.
Right, it's too late.
Yeah.
But you could give him a little second name like Pharaoh Porsche.
Pharaoh Porsche. That's so interesting. You gotta name it and you gotta say it every day.
Say it every day. Like,
wow.
Let me water this Oscar. Let me water this Emmy.
That's right.
Right?
You have to speak life over yourself every day.
Exactly.
I got you.
That part. So, but no, I think when you put the work out there, it comes to you. And the thing is,
you put in work though. Amber, you have put in work.
I know. I try not to look backwards and just keep going forward, because sometimes people will remind me. With the Cannes Festival win on Instagram, it was a lot of messages, positivity. But one person was like, "You've been at this since we were 20, girl. You deserve this." You've been at this for a while.
But you've just been at it, but you've done it with enthusiasm.
I've given it everything I got, and I think you can continue with your enthusiasm and never lose sight of it or never lose the luster in it when you love it. When you love what you do, you don't wake up
And,
and roll your eyes, you know?
and I remember you were going to schools in New York City and the Bronx. You were pushing artwork by Amber. You were pushing it. You were reading books to little kids. I
Yeah.
remember that. It was just yesterday.
You remember that like yesterday?
Yes, I do.
I was
I
just telling
remember how serious you were about it, and you telling me about all that it entails and why you had to get the book in the school. And I was like, you got guts, you got heart.
wow.
I remember you reading to these little kids.
Yeah. I
And
think
then
I got
you told me the story that one teacher in particular, like, really got it, and you know, they were encouraging somehow.
yeah. And I think I told you I started off with putting 30 books in my backpack and going to barbershops and beauty salons.
Yeah.
That was my best thought of how to do this, right?
Do you have a picture of you doing that?
No. I should have, but
That's
no.
a hell of a picture, Amber.
It would have been a good video for my spiel. Hi everyone. Sorry to interrupt you. My name is Amber Anderson. I have a children's book that represents us, and it's about a little girl who is dealing with her self-esteem. So it promotes confidence for kids. It's for age 4 to 8, and I have it now if you want to get it. And I wrote it myself, and I illustrated it myself.
That's
and then
right.
so after I finished my little pitch, either people would just stare at me blankly and not move, and I would feel like, okay, that went well, and like slowly walk out of there. Or somebody in the back would just yell, I'll take 2, boo-boo. Okay. And and I'd be like, yay. And then somebody else on the way to me reaching that person in the back would be like, I want one too. I want one too. And then it turned into, I'm a teacher. I have my school is over here. I'm a principal. I want this for my school. Give me a call.
It was a principal. You told me one story about the principal. And for some reason, I'm thinking downtown, but it might have been the Bronx. But I remember you telling me about one educator in particular who like a lot of sales came with meeting that person.
Yeah, there were a few after it was all said and done, guidance counselors, principals, but there was one principal who had me come in and bring my book to 4 classrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 classrooms at once. They were all 3rd graders.
Yes.
And, yeah, and I believe it was in Harlem. But what was interesting, I didn't realize, well, 4 3rd grade classes, what that meant at the time. I'm just thinking, okay, let me go in here for 4 3rd grade classes, right? The first class I went to everything went smoothly. The kids were good. They were disciplined. They listened. They wanted to hear this book. They were enthusiastic. They, went along with the program. Second class, they were a little more distracted, but okay. 3rd class, hey guys, I'm here to read this book. Y'all care, right? The distractions were about 50%. And by the last class, it was crazy. I walked in and one girl was in the corner with her face in the corner, kids running around. I was just like, this has descended to crazy. It started from like a class I could recognize to just trying to get kids to all sit together and pay attention took a little effort, and it wasn't me. It was the teacher and the teacher's aide who were wrangling them up to sit down on the mat to come together to look at this book. And I was just like, wow, this has already been a whirlwind. We didn't even start yet. And what's up with the girl in the corner? Can she come sit down and watch this book too? Or she got to stay there? This is awkward. And they're looking at me, rolling their eyes like, I mean, if that's what you asking for, I did not know what I was asking for. That little girl turned up in the middle of that book reading. You hear me? I got to like page 3 and she got up out of her place, came over in the middle of my book reading, moved my hand, and was like, started pulling pages backwards, going back to an earlier part in the story. Okay, what did this mean? I don't remember that I knew what you was talking about here. And I was looking at her teachers and they just shaking their head like, you said take her out the corner. We took her out the corner. I was like,
Wow.
It was wild. It was wild. But, you know, you learn so much and you learn like even skills. I'm here to read a book, but now I'm working on skills with kids who develop differently and, you know, how to deal with different children differently. And it was really interesting and really fun because they all want to learn. They just coming from different backgrounds, you know? So no matter what class it was, at the end, they all run up to you and hug you and like almost knock you down. And it was.
Hold up, that always happens?
Yeah. It always happens. Every class. I think they're having fun and it's a disruption from their normal curriculum, which becomes mundane.
Even the little girl from the corner?
Yep, even the little corner girl.
little time out. I didn't realize I was saying a little girl from the corner.
Right, the corner. Little girl, the corner. Yeah, but I didn't want that. I didn't know what she did, but I'm like, all right, it's story time. Let's let bygones be bygones and start with a fresh slate. Can we?
What have you learned? Okay, this is the last question. What have you learned about being a human being in New York City?
That's such a broad question. What about
Tell me one thing you've learned.
I think I've learned that New York is at its core a friendly place. So I've had experiences on the train where something will happen to someone, right? We're on the train as individuals, but we're a community. You may have a friend here and there, a colleague here and there, but for the most part, it's a bunch of people commuting for work by themselves. And there's this thing that happens. If it happens to one of us, it kind of happens to all of us. Well, like this woman had a seizure. She was on the train by herself and she started like waving her arms a little bit in a way that was strange. She was sitting right next to me. I didn't know what she was doing until her eyes rolled back in her head and she fell to the floor. And you know, New York is dirty, and if you on that floor, something's wrong. And everyone stopped. Like everyone stopped to help this woman. We were like surrounding her on the ground. Somebody put their purse under her head. They had bottles of water. People were stopping her arms from banging the floor, her legs from banging the floor. We're all talking to each other like, are you supposed to elevate her head? You know, somebody pull that emergency lever, and you know, people got out the way so that there was space for her. And it was just like this moment where it's just like, and the same thing happens if one person gets on and they're in a panic. Am I going the right way? Everybody will be like, where are you going? I'm trying to get to this stop. Yes, you're on the right train. No, girl, get off. You're on the wrong train. Go the other way. Before those doors close, this is not the right way. Or, you know, one time I got sick on the train and I had taken some Tylenol, but I forgot to eat with it, right? I took Tylenol, forgot to eat, and my stomach was about to let me know that it doesn't want to keep any of this here. And I could feel it coming, and I'm just kind of making the signal, like, move back, because it was a crowded train. Do you hear me? Crowded in a way of like, you are...
The pretty girl farting.
No, it was worse.
Oh, no.
No, I threw up on this train.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I threw up on this train, and it was like so bad that it was like
Ew.
It was horrible. Like people got out the way, but then same thing. This train that was packed, all of a sudden people pulled me into a chair. Somebody gave me a bottle of water. It was open. I was like, yeah, I ain't that sick, but thank you. Thank you for your half drinking bottle of water. I don't know. But that's sweet, but no thank you.
You got
There
a little, you got a little spit still on the lip.
lipstick on this. Yeah, I'm not wearing that. Like people were giving me
Amber,
napkins.
we haven't even touched your comedic side.
Oh my God, yeah. But it was just like, people they see that you're going through something and where you're like, oh, here's this big bad place. It just turns into a bunch of people who care. And you realize like that's probably more of anything in any place. You have the percentage that make the headlines, but then you have the community that typically don't make the headlines. But
Does that work for Baltimore too?
I'm sure it does. I'm sure it
So I'm
does.
gonna tell you who I want to meet. I want to meet Dick Wolf.
Yeah.
I want to meet this dude and shake his hand.
He's on everything. He does everything.
Everything. I don't believe it's one person. I believe it's like 17 people.
Well, I'm sure he has 17 people working for him, but
How about that?
I can't imagine what his
His name's on everything. And what's that sound? Dum
dum dum. I just want to see Dick Wolf's house. I want to see what Dick Wolf's house looks like.
His name is on everything.
Yeah.
All right, Amber, we done kept you over time. Thank you so much. Monday morning. Happy Monday morning to you. I can't sleep. You can't sleep either. Okay, all right, good enough.
Happy Monday morning. Have a great day.
All right, always a pleasure. And you got a couple of people that sell a low. Odessa Rose, the author, Nina Arlene. She was talking about the Qs and Michael Randolph down in Tampa. Much love to you, and we'll see you next time. Call me if you need me.
All right, thank you so much. Good talk.
Morning, world.
All right,
Yes,
bye-bye. Pay this bill twice.